A bombshell report out of Forbes indicates that $1.5 billion of investments might be coming to Disneyland Paris. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at both Disneyland Park and Hollywood Studios cost only $1.1 billion. So it begs the question, what is coming to Disneyland Paris? Let's talk about that on That Park Place. We closely follow the reporting of Caroline Reed from Forbes. She's got great insight into Disney in general, but of course the movie business. While we weren't able to get into the deeper aspects of her coverage, the fact that the Walt Disney Company is willing to invest so much in their European parks really says something about the intention here. They've already got Avengers Campus, and we wanted to talk about what could possibly go into that space. Let's get to it. Here we are, Caroline Reed, a senior contributor over at Forbes. Disneyland Paris reveals that they are doing a $1.5 billion investment in the Studios Park. For those of you who don't know what this is, over in Disneyland Paris, former Euro Disneyland, they actually have two parks. One is the Magic Kingdom Park over there. Is it called Magic Kingdom, Vash? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I think it's just called Disneyland Park.
And then the other one is an analog to Hollywood Studios, but it's really
Walt Disney Studios Paris.
Yes, it's not really on the same level. Or at least it didn't used to be on the same level as MGM, now Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point, actually. We'll get into why maybe that is during the breakdown of this.
Yep. All right, beginning here. Disneyland Paris revealed that it has invested more than $1.5 billion in its movie theme park over the last 5 years. The resort is on the outskirts of Paris, and comprises 7 on-site hotels, 2 convention centers, a 27-hole golf course, and a 44,000 square meter Disney Village Entertainment District, and 2 theme parks. The ornate iron gates to the fairy tale themed Disneyland Park first opened in 1992 and was joined by the neighboring Walt Disney Studios a decade later.
They didn't even mention the pickleball courts. So strange.
Oui, le pickle. This is an excellent article that we don't have time to go through the entire thing, but I was amazed at the depth of coverage here on the financials. Vash, you had some things you wanted to say about this. Do you want to drive here?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think one of the reasons why we do have so much depth in the financials is because it has this Euro Disneyland project, right? Has been a joint venture between the government of France and the Walt Disney Company, which is an interesting history in itself. But why the Walt Disney Studios Park has never been that great in terms of a destination for this place is, well, to be frank about it, they overbuilt initially with the initial theme park, and that's, I think, 5 resort hotels at the time, or at least 5,000 rooms on property, which, by the way, they are right next to some of the most incredible hotels in the world, being Paris, and then a short train ride from London. So that didn't quite work out. But
they are competing with the Georges V.
They had made a deal with the French government in order to maintain their land holdings there, that they would be building a second gate within 10 years, and that way they can keep their land. And so they were kind of in a position, even after the initial struggles of Disneyland Paris, and Frank Wells, for all he did, it was one of the last things he ever did for the company, was get them into kind of a sort of black, and well, that also was assisted by a Saudi prince, and all kinds of stuff actually happened during this period. But they built Walt Disney Studios Park, even though they really didn't want to, in order to maintain that land there, and they didn't put necessarily that much into it initially. Go ahead, bro.
They showed that they didn't want to build it when they did build it.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I mean, it's light theming there. But to Bob Iger's credit, he has kind of been, when it comes to the parks, right, especially internationally, it has been kind of this idea of righting the wrongs, let's say, right? Let's heavily invest in Hong Kong, let's heavily invest in Paris, and get these things shored up here. And so they have increased their stake in the Paris resort, I believe, to 90%, right, from their kind of sort of 50% stake that they had before. And so they've invested a lot of money into that Walt Disney Studios Park to get it up to snuff. They're going to be getting a version of Hong Kong's Frozen Land there. They've already gotten a superior version of Avengers Campus when compared to the one Disney California Adventure. But there's also another piece of land there that was supposed to be Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, or at least a version of it, that was recently taken off the table. So we have to presume that this new $1.5 billion investment might be to fill that area up. Some people have said Lion King, others have said Avatar. With Iger in the seat, could we be seeing Avatar in Walt Disney Studios Paris? It's an interesting idea.
I've heard Avatar, so I'll be surprised if it's not Avatar.
Indeed. What do you think, Jonas? Where do we want to go with this from here?
Avatar makes the most sense. It's the only property that they don't own outright that would be on the table at this point, and they're not going to do anything that belongs to anyone else,
right?
Other than themselves. The asterisk there is that Lightstorm controls Avatar on some level. But that being said, Joe Rohde did such a fantastic job with Pandora in Animal Kingdom that I think they'd sign up for another one immediately.
They have a relationship with John Landau there. As part of Lightstorm there, and I believe James Cameron has even said that he'd be fully open to contributing to an expansion of the Animal Kingdom that already exists. I'm sorry, Pandora that already exists in Animal Kingdom. We can presume that an Avatar experience at Disneyland Paris would get the appropriate support as well. We could also say that if they do something there at Walt Disney Studios Paris, we have heard comments from Iger himself during earnings calls and so forth that he wants to bring something to Disneyland. Well, I
still can't figure out where that goes, though. Vash, where are they going to put that without it being compared poorly to Animal Kingdom?
Well, here's what's interesting. You could go with a completely new iteration of Pandora. We have heard James Cameron's comments suggesting that, hey, there's a huge world of Pandora, not just what we've been seeing in the movies currently, but with our next 3 sequels or whatever it's going to be, we're going to expand this universe out. So we can presume that perhaps they go in a different direction with Pandora, and if that's the case, then you could very well utilize that last bit of real estate that's north of Tomorrowland and east of Fantasyland right there. That is a prime location, and I would believe that Iger is kind of eyeballing that right now. Disneyland Forward is still a long way off, so I think we can presume if they want to get something in there early, that be where it is, and we can also assume that it might not take the same form as Animal Kingdoms. There is enough room
I would
for it,
recommend that they do something interior. I think the only way for them to do this and make it work is to do an interior. It's always night. It's always bioluminescent.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be compared to those giant floating rocks, and those cannot go in Disneyland because they don't fit. You need a huge amount of land for it.
You do, and you do require a very complex construction umbilicus in order to get that facilitated. However, there's more land than you would think out there. I'll put it that way.
Well, just for anybody who doesn't know, the amount of land that they have in Florida, the Kilimanjaro Safari alone is as large as Magic Kingdom, I do believe.
Believe you're right.
Yeah, which means that, of course, Animal Kingdom is therefore the largest park. I don't know if Shanghai has now outclassed that bit of trivia.
Oh, that's an interesting point. I think Animal Kingdom is still, it's like plus 400 acres, but you're talking the entire Disneyland Resort right now. Even if you were to add in what they want to add in via Disneyland Forward, you're only talking about 200 acres max. So
right. So we're saying that Animal Kingdom is double the size of Disneyland.
Disneyland Resort, not even just the park. So it's massive.
Thank you so much for tuning in for the conversation. Of course, if you've got another idea of what can go into Disneyland Paris, we'd love to hear about it. Comment below or get in touch with us on social media at the handles above. If we've earned it, like this video and share it out on social medias. Of course, subscribe if you're interested in more content from That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com for all the news that should be fun. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.